Welcome to the Final Score Network and the Final Score Podcast, presented by Team Anders Realtors. I'm Andy. He's former NCAA student athlete and co-host.
Ryan, jam, two-hand monster flush, off the inbound. Ryan, cam, slam, jam.
Subscribe to us on Podbean, the Apple Podcast Store, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter at TheFinalScore35 and TikTok at AGSpartanFan35. Oh, and one more note before we get started.
I'd like to apologize to anyone I've not offended yet. Please be patient. I'll get to you shortly.
Welcome into the 111th edition of the TFS Pod. Coming to you live here, Valentine's Day, aka the worst holiday of all time. Just an excuse to spend money on cards, and flowers are more expensive. Stupid. But love on people. NFL season's done here. College basketball. We're 26 days from Selection Sunday. Love that. But I would be dumb to not start off just talking about the unfortunate events that took place just in our backyard, really, an hour away in East Lansing last night. This horrifying, disgusting act, heartbroken, and just it's disgusting. This keeps happening. I mean, thoughts and prayers aren't enough at this point. This keeps happening in our country. We need to come together. It's a disgusting place right now. These three young people, two 20-year-olds and a 19-year-old, and then the five that are in critical condition, goes out to you. Hope you guys heal up, the ones that are in the hospital, and then the three that passed away. You're in everyone's thoughts and prayers in the state, hopefully around the country as well. Just senseless, there's no words for it, really. Just a horrifying thing. Shout out to the first responders, the police, the medical personnel at the hospitals, the people, the EMTs. Law enforcement handled that perfectly. The lady that was the dispatcher on the police scanner is pretty unbelievable. How she handled that, calmness, and just got through that. There are millions of people listening to that. That's insane. It's not how you want to spend a Monday night. Just sad. Makes you not want to think about sports. We're going to talk about sports because it's a way to get away from that. But this country needs a whole. I'm not trying to make this political or get on my soapbox or anything. This needs to be, both sides need to come together and come up with something, because this is enough. And we need to rely more on religion, because they're trying to take that out. If you know what I mean, they don't want it in this country anymore, and it shows with the way people are. I guess it's not, because it might rub some people the wrong way. Podium time, officiating is what I'm going to talk about just briefly. Officiating in the Duke versus Virginia game. Hate Duke, love Duke. They got screwed, and the ACC admitted it the day after. I mean, that would have been a critical win for them seed-wise, and helped them. I mean, Virginia's top 10 team, really good, top of the ACC, and they lost the game. Obviously that's not just the only reason why, but that's a big reason, because they had clean look at it, gets fouled before the time went off, and they deemed it was after. The contact was after the buzzer went off, and it clearly did not. So they got screwed. I'm actually with them on that. But hey, they deserve a bad break every once in a while. They're annoying. Then the Super Bowl, was it holding at the end of the game? Yeah, I mean, it was by rule, but the officials call that. I mean, could they have? There's more egregious things that happen that they don't call, and they're calling that. I mean, please. I wasn't a fan of them kind of hinging on that, because I would love to see them kick a field goal and then the Eagles kind of get the ball back and see what they could do if they could get a field goal, force overtime, maybe score a touchdown. But yeah, officiating just continues to be an I'll say it's a pandemic in the United States. It's terrible in all sports, college, high school, pro, football, basketball, baseball, tiddlywinks, you name it. It sucks on all levels. We need to come together and have better officials, get a better product, and maybe official reform would be nice. I digress. It's sour grapes for me, because we talk about crap like this every single week in this podcast, and in our free time about how crappy refs are. So get your together, please.
Yeah, it's definitely a common theme of the podcast. Could be the final or the final official.net podcast. This is pretty ridiculous.
You can talk us off the ledge.
Ryan well said at the beginning. I'm going to kind of touch on that a little bit too, and I will be semi-political, although I will try not to call out too many people by name, because this time and that we're in kind of deserves that. And I'm going to say a couple things. I'm going to start with this. Leave it to the Eagles fans to boo Dak Prescott for winning the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. If you missed it, they announced that pregame Super Bowl in Glendale on the field. Eagles fans, of course you hate Dallas. You hate Washington even more, and you hate the Giants probably even more than that. But let's remember what the award stands for. The Man of the Year for doing philanthropic good things for humans, which in this hell-in-a-handbasket society that we live in should be celebrated, not booed. So freaking shame on you for booing somebody for winning a humanitarian award. I don't care what team he plays for. I wrote down in my notes, WTF is wrong with people. Speaking of which, the controversy around the Jesus commercials. Are you kidding? But yet that, you know what, at the Grammys with Sam Smith as the devil was applauded with a standing ovation by the people at the Grammys. I'm disgusted by society. We had AOC. Who votes for a piece of shit like that? I'm sorry, that's where I'm going to get political. You're voting for somebody who calls Christians fascists. That's what you want in leadership in this country. In God we trust. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And God is in there. God is in the Declaration of Independence. And all that the far left, and I'm saying far right is equally guilty of their own weirdness and stupidity, but the far left has been trying to flush religion for a long time. They're trying to cut it out of schools. They're insulting commercials on TV. It's pretty sad that we had to see $12 million in Super Bowl ads bought by a foundation, and kudos to, I think it was a creative group out of Grand Haven that helped on that series. They've been playing on sporting events a lot in the last really 3-4 months, and then they kind of culminated with 2 ads. Like, it really, if you're going to insult that, like, where are we as a country? I would venture to say that if today was Reckoning Day, more than half of the people in the United States would burn in hell. And Ryan said, we need to come together. Like, what happened at Michigan State last night was a mental health issue. That was not somebody that was affiliated with Michigan State in any way. It wasn't a lover's quarrel. It was a schizophrenic. It was, it was sad. It was unfortunate. It could have happened anywhere. It could have happened at U of M, Central, Eastern, Western, any school. And unfortunately, we see it happen in schools. And it's scary and it's frightening. And, we know a lot of people that were there. Riley, among others, Dauber and his kids, his 3 kids, right there. 2 of them live virtually right across the street from the Union. One was at his frat house, and it sounds like this guy may have been kind of running down Frat Row on his way out of town. But here, what we'll hear in the media is how it's a gun problem. No, people, it's a effing people problem. People kill people. Guns are a weapon. People kill people. And mental health is an issue in this country. And a lot of it has to do, or was exasperated by masks and lockdowns and shutdowns and the ridiculousness of that. So let's fix those wrongs, those ills, and fix people before we quarrel about, this gun, that gun, this gun, that gun. I'm tired of that shit. Fix it. Fix it by staying away from those arguments that will never be won, and fix the mental health crisis that's going on, and start by not doing stupid shit of your own when the time comes. Make wise decisions. Make decisions for the people who elected you. Get my other piece on Michigan State and the tragedy that is F you, New York Times, for writing a piece that says, I'm going to summarize here, that Michigan State back in the news for all the wrong reasons after, kind of trying to escape the whole Larry Nassar scandal. What in the absolute flying F does what happened with the Larry Nassar scandal have to do with this? Nothing. That is purely a pot shot at Michigan State when, oh, by the way, there was somebody who assaulted far more people. I don't care that there were males and not females at Michigan. There was somebody in that same boat at Ohio State. Correlating something like that, like something that happened last night at Michigan State, is disgusting. And it's a shot at Michigan State. And that's the problem with the media. That's the problem with society. And I'm going to say we need, and I pray every day, every single day, that this country gets the help that it needs and it finds religion. And kudos to the folks that put together those Jesus commercials. I hope that helps, because we are in as worse a state in terms of society as any time in my 50 years on this earth. And it's gross, it's disgusting, it's sad, it's pathetic, and it's because we have lost our focus on what the right thing is, and it is Him.
Couldn't agree more. Very well said. All right, another I hate to stay. We're gonna do the bad stuff first. Tee up of the week. New Mexico State basketball. So if you have been following, there's been just an absolute full pot full of issues, if you know what I mean, coming from Las Cruces. That's where it is?
Yeah, Las Cruces. Yeah.
So starting in October, long story short, a player from New Mexico State was lured by a female.
November, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I think it was November.
November. When New Mexico State was going to play New Mexico in a basketball game, lured to New Mexico's campus from a nearby hotel, was jumped and had guns pulled on him by, I would assume it was gang related, New Mexico students. He then defended himself, shot and killed one of these people, got away, and then New Mexico State. This is what we knew at the time. Their bus got pulled over on their way home. They canceled the game because of the shooting. Bus gets pulled over by the police. You know what goes down. Stuff happens. Fast forward, they're investigating. Comes out this weekend that they're under investigation, suspended their season until further notice. Whole staff's on administrative leave. And it comes out Saturday, I believe. It was Saturday or Sunday that the coaching staff knew about this, took this guy's gun, put it in a towel or something, and were carrying it. They had it on the bus. It's so confusing. And then apparently there's some just disgusting. A player said there was hazing going on, and you read into it. The guys are trying to take some guy's pants off and touch his male region area and just do inappropriate, weird, just honestly homosexual things to this poor guy. And it was 3-on-1. I mean, that's disgusting. That is literally disgusting. Screw these people, and then their coach got fired today. Good. That's a train wreck. They might get a death penalty for something like that. Hiding stuff, and then the hazing. This
is like Baylor times 2.
And New Mexico State has been a really good low major program. Won a game in the tournament last year, if you don't remember. Their coach took the Mississippi State job, Chris Jans, and then this guy came in. He was a former JUCO coach. Go figure. And just it's a complete, just off the rails, batshit crazy, just time for that school. So hopefully they can get it together. Because that's sad, and just unfortunate for the student athletes that did nothing wrong, and for the poor guy that was hazed by his teammates. It's just weird and just disgusting. All right, happy time. Go around the world. College hoops. wow, it's been a whirlwind since the last, what was that, Monday that we did it?
Mm-hmm.
Big Ten is, it's a
log jam.
It's a complete log jam. That's
if Illinois, who was losing by 13 at the half tonight, goes down, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 teams at 8-6.
It's weird.
2 teams at 9-5, and then Purdue at 12-3. Yeah, it's crazy. Now, let's start with the game of the week. Biggest win in Northwestern program history. Ryan and I were watching.
Probably clinched the tournament for them.
We turned it off because it was a 6 or 7 point game with 4 and change to go, and we're like, oh, this is over. Because every time Northwestern would make a little chip at it, and then Purdue would just bring it right back up, and then we get a text that Northwestern's about to win this game and watch the rest of the game play out, and it's like whoever bottle that up, because Northwestern. Yeah, Rutgers, obviously has their number 2, but like people are going to be watching Northwestern film because Northwestern arguably lost their 2 best players to North Carolina and Duke respectively last year, and they're better. Sometimes it's addition by subtraction, and that's the case. Their guards are playing lights out. They're veteran. They're savvy. They've got some young big guys, and they just have a great mix and a great togetherness, and they found the recipe. They kind of bottled up Edey a little bit, and that's what I would be worried if I was a Purdue fan is. Are the freshmen, albeit, okay, now freshman guards really by at this point in the season, you've played, what, 25, 26, 27 games. They're not really freshmen anymore per se. But when panic time comes, how are they going to hold up? And, the other Purdue pieces and parts are nice, but they're nice, right? They're pieces and parts. Yes, they help make up the whole, and they make Purdue one of the top 3, 4, 5 teams in the country. But it gets real scary about this time of the year when the formula becomes shut one guy down, and hopefully the team then can rely on freshmen to carry them. It doesn't happen very often unless it's like a Kentucky or a Duke or somebody like that. So I'd be a little nervous if I was a Purdue fan. I mean, they're still well in the driver's seat. They're 23-3 overall. They're 12-3 in the Big Ten. I mean, they're 2 games clear of the entire league. They do play Indiana once more, but it's at Mackey. So that's one of the teams they have a 2-game lead on, and they have a 2-game lead on Northwestern. And again, Northwestern's dream season. Like, everybody was excited when they made the tournament and won a game a couple years ago for the first time ever. This team's probably better.
They're going back.
And they're beating better teams. I mean, we were lamenting Michigan State dog-tired losing to them in early December, thinking, oh my gosh, what a crap loss. Northwestern's a bottom-of-the-barrel team. Northwestern's tied for second in the Big Ten, people. And they've beaten Michigan State in Indiana on the road. They've beaten Illinois. They've beaten Purdue. I mean, they've beaten the top of the Big Ten. They've swept Wisconsin. Crazy. Rest of the standings-wise, then we can get a little bit more into Michigan State. Minnesota's still sitting there in the bottom. They took a COVID break over the weekend. They're getting a postponement tomorrow night as Michigan State at least originally postponed everything for 2 days following the shooting, and now it sounds like only the sports for 2 days, but classes are probably going to be suspended through the week.
Yeah.
So we'll see when that gets made up. You got to hope as a Michigan State fan that they get a shot at that game, because if there's anything close to a gimme in the league, it's Minnesota. And Michigan State deserves that, frankly, after the schedule that they've had to play. Who would have thought this at the beginning of the season? Not Ryan or I. Ohio State is 13th at 3-11.
They're awful. 2
behind Nebraska at 5-10, number 12. And then you get Wisconsin that has a losing record, 6-8. Wisconsin, Ohio State. Nebraska's fighting valiantly.
Kudos to them. Best season under.
Probably not very outside shot at making the NIT, but still, they're a battle. They're a tough out in any game. They've won 5 games. That's more than probably I would have expected. But Ohio State at 3-11, like, they've got a lot of really good young pieces, and they've got a great coach, but they don't have a collective whole. Like, they don't have a glue guy. They don't have a go-to guy. Their go-to guy is a freshman, Sensabaugh, and he's kind of hitting a little bit of a wall right now. People are kind of figuring him out a little. Zed Key is playing hurt. He kind of plays dumb with that shoulder, honestly, and Ohio State doesn't have a lot of size. I mean, they're playing a ton of freshmen. Wisconsin is taking a big step back, and they're in big danger of missing the tournament. They're 14-10, and they still have a chance, but at 6-8, I don't know. Penn State making a nice little run tonight. They're going to have to go on a run. They're 14-11, 5-9. they may be a team that has to win 4 out of the next 5 to get to 10-10 to get a chance to go dancing. And then it's really the teams that, minus Michigan, should be safely in the dance. Michigan State, big road win at Ohio State. We'll talk about that in a minute. Big win against Maryland earlier in the week, which, Maryland is very highly ranked in KenPom. Maryland's right there also at 8-6, 17-8. Michigan took a tough loss against Indiana and is playing themselves out at 14-11. I mean, they've got an outside shot, but they don't have any quad wins.
They have no quality wins. They have a quad 4 loss.
It's not looking good for them, minus if they get in with a name on the front of the jersey. Iowa. They're 16-9, 8-6. They're probably going to be a first weekend out team, assuming they get in. Northwestern, obviously, probably punched their ticket at 9-5. I mean, it would be helpful certainly to win a couple more games. Illinois kind of has made a nice little comeback, 8-5 on their way to maybe 8-6, depending on if they can come back against Penn State.
Pile.
But, that's a good, talented team. We'll get a little bit more about them in the third spot of Around the World. Rutgers has fallen on a little bit of hard times, but they're still 8-6, 16-9, and they play good enough defense to get some wins.
They really do have trouble scoring.
Really, the top 2 teams are Indiana and Purdue, and I will tell you right now, Trace Jackson Davis is my National Player of the Year, and he's the Big Ten Player of the Year. I'm sorry, Zach Edey's great, but he's 7-5. And if you're 7-5, you better be able to get 15 rebounds and score 20 points a game, because you barely have to shoot it at the basket. Trace Jackson Davis is solely left-handed. I don't understand for the life of me why people have not figured out to sit on that to take his left hand away. Maybe they have, and they're just so unsuccessful, but that dude is on a tear in Big Ten play especially, and Indiana's got a nice team of pieces and parts, and he is a bona fide superstar example of coming back and improving. Now, does he have the jump shot for the NBA and stuff? Probably not at this point in time, but he's got Indiana in a place where Indiana can make a March run. Indiana's got the right pieces and parts to make a March run because they play a little bit of defense on top of the fact that he's virtually unstoppable. So that's kind of a run through the standings. It's going to be really crazy to see really how 2 through 9 especially, and then maybe to see what Penn State or Wisconsin can kind of do if they can come from the back of the pack a little bit. But there are a ton of teams playing for those 2nd, 3rd, and 4th positions in a double bye in the Big Ten tournament at this point in time. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's a complete, just like you said, logjam. Everyone's basically just beating up on each other. Excuse me.
Which is the sign of a league that doesn't have any elite teams, but is also a sign of a really deep league, too.
Right. It is very deep.
Do they have somebody that can win in March? That remains to be seen, but the thing is nobody really wants it so far. It seems like it's kind of it's about as even as Steven a year as it'll get, and we'll get a little bit more into some of the metrics in around the world spot 3. But it's kind of it's crazy right now in national, NCAA overall. You just flip-flopping those teams. Alabama might be first for the first time ever. Houston's right up there. They've been probably one of the more consistent teams all year, expected to be good, have been good, fluctuate kind of between 1 and 4 all year. Big 12 is still rock solid from really top to bottom.
Really good league.
ACC, not so much.
Big East is pretty good at the top. So, it's going to be an interesting run through the next 3 weeks until, conference tournament time hits, and then all bets are off, and it is going to be a crazy, crazy tournament. I mean, it's to the point where I tried to take some of my free Super Bowl winnings and put them on an easy parlay last night in college basketball of 5 double-digit, major double-digit, 14, 15 plus point plus double-digit favorites, and I still lost one of the 5 in the parlay. That's how crazy basketball is. It's every day. It's a stay away from in the betting game from me because it's not a good idea.
It's just flushing money down the toilet because it's virtually so impossible to figure out right now.
Yeah, it's.
You want to talk a little bit about Michigan State?
Yeah, we'll start last Tuesday. 15-0 start. You don't see that too often. Then just dribble down the leg.
No, Maryland is good.
Maryland's
but still,
good, but
Michigan
still
State,
choked.
until Ohio State had lacked kind of that killer instinct. Michigan State was a road dog at Ohio State. As bad as Ohio State had been playing, partially because they hadn't been able to close out games, and you thought you saw it coming again after a blitzkrieg first half. Ohio State chips it down to 5, and then Michigan State answered. And I'll say the one consistent piece in those two games has been Joey. As bad as Joey was for a 3-game stretch, as in flush him down the toilet, don't ever want him to play for Michigan State again. He's hitting that 3 again. He's confident. He's rebounding. He had a lot of good rebounds against Ohio State. Like, he's going to have to be a key. And then it's kind of he and Tyson and, maybe Akins has been playing better. He got to the rack against Ohio State. He wasn't shooting and hitting the outside shot, so he stopped settling.
Yeah, he had a nice game.
AJ, when he's at his best, he's a 6, 7, 8 points, 6, 7, 8 assists, 6, 7, 8 rebounds guy. Yeah, can he score 20 a game if we need him to? Yeah, but that's not going to bode well for Michigan State. Mark my words. He needs to be kind of like that toe the line of a triple-double kind of guy for Michigan State to make some noise. Cooper continues to kind of get a little bit better, or not Cooper. Cooper does play well. He had 5 points against Ohio State, but Kohler, he's got the old man game and footwork. He still needs to learn how to finish a little bit better. Mahdi was better defensively against Maryland, but he's still kind of or against Ohio State, but he's still kind of a liability on offense. He's clunky, bad hands.
I saw something earlier that said he's 4th in the Big Ten in defensive rebounding percentage, only behind Edey, Trace, and then someone, I can't remember the other one was.
Yeah, I mean, so he's...
Amaru.
I guess you have to look at it this way. Mahdi scored a lot in the first couple games, and we thought, okay, here's a threat. Let's be honest. He is not an offensive threat unless he's catching alley-oops. And those are really that's really just a push it down through the hoop, alley-oop. As long as he can play good defense, stay out of foul trouble, and rebound, that's good enough. Because, Hall, as he continues to kind of come around and get better and health-wise, he's going to be a contributor. Hall's a guy that could score 20 points in a game. And he's a guy that can score 3, but not stuff the stat sheet, but make a huge difference in impact in the game. And that's what Michigan State needs out of Hall. He is that glue guy. Can he score? Yes. Can he rebound? Yes. Can he pass? Yes. Does he have to all the time? Not necessarily, because he can communicate and he can play some defense, and that's what Michigan State's going to need. And he's a threat, right? Like, he's just more of a threat. Brooks has got to score more to stay on the floor, although his defense has been better. But his Holloman has taken a major freshman step back, and I account some of that to being a freshman. All 3 of the freshmen have taken those, like, wow, they did some great things, and it's like, oh my gosh, are they in high school still? So it'll be interesting, because what do we have this week? Michigan this week?
Michigan Saturday.
And then we'll see when Minnesota gets...
IU's on next Tuesday.
So it's kind of a crucial stretch. Those are winnable but losable games, too. And, Michigan State's got some momentum. It's a shame for all the reasons, but from a basketball purpose, it's a shame that they can't play Wednesday to kind of get that 3rd in a row and be 9-6 and just have even more confidence. But at the same time, Izzo's going to have them practicing, and when Izzo's teams can practice, that's when Izzo's teams get better. So that'll be interesting to see. Anything else you got on Spartan Dogs?
I don't think so. Keep the streak rolling.
All right.
Spot 2, Super Bowl and NFL just in general. I guess we can just touch on NFL news real quick. Colts hired... what's his name? Steichen from the Eagles, and then the Cardinals hired Gannon from the Eagles. So, Eagles need to find 2 new coordinators after losing the Super Bowl.
And what was a really good game, like minus how it came down to the end, like that play had little impact on that game. You swallow the whistle and let it be settled on the field. It was anticlimactic after it was such a great game. Great first half by the Eagles, great second half by the Chiefs. And again, the refs took the ball out of the playmakers' hands, and we had to just settle for knee, kick a field goal to win it. And it was kind of like,
well, it was Michigan State, they would have missed.
Yeah, probably. So it was like, Chiefs are worthy winners. They had a great second half.
Yeah, the way they played in the second half.
Great game, average commercials at best. Couple good ones. Caddyshack one was great. An okay halftime show. I'm not a big Rihanna fan. I mean, it was a pretty cool setup. I'm not a big a fan of her music. It was decent, but it wasn't great. But I don't know what's happened to the commercials though in general.
They're horrible.
They're just not creativity. I think people are so damn afraid of being woke and canceled that they don't stick their neck out there anymore, and it's kind of disgusting, to be honest. Like, that goes along with where we are as a society, that people are too afraid to poke fun at things and to laugh at things and to laugh at themselves. And it's like, when do we take ourselves so seriously and yet hate on each other so much? It's ridiculous, and it comes through in those ads, frankly. I mean, the best, most relatable, there's 2 ads that stick out to me that were really good that I remember, which is what you want as a brand and a marketing guy. It was the Tubi commercial where everybody in the world thought they sat on their remote, really well done and really talked about afterwards. And for me, the Miller Coors Blue Moon, because it confused the hell out of people. Why would Miller Lite and Coors Light be fighting each other? And then in a Blue Moon commercial, newsflash, they're all owned by Miller Coors. But like, that was smart, because there's 3 brands that I remember, because it was a very different type of beer ad than you usually see. Were there some other decent ones? Yeah, sure, there were some decent ones, but like, it's not $6 million good, not $7 million good. No way.
Yeah. The Caddyshack one was really good. What else was really good? The E-Trade, those are always classic. There was a good Google one.
The Amazon one with the dog was good. Anybody who's had a dog is good. Farmer's Dog was sad. So it's not like they were. I don't want to say they were all awful, because there were some good ones, but they weren't. They weren't like what you're. They weren't like skip the bathroom until halftime show, or skip the bathroom until the second half, or until the local commercials come on good. And that's what a Super Bowl used to be. And for the money that is spent, I get it, inflation and everything, but they're just not that creative anymore. They're just not this Maya, whatever. Like, Eminem, you screwed up with your wokeness, and your rebound attempt is like flat. It sucks. It's horrible. Like, stop. Spare us all.
Yeah. Completely agree. But yeah, football's over. That's sad.
It is sad. Jalen Hurts, I mean, he held up well.
Man's
4 touchdowns total.
Just had the one mistake.
He had the octopus, which I should have bet on, a one player to score a touchdown and get the ensuing 2-point conversion. It's a very rare occurrence in football. That was, if you like prop bets, there were a bajillion of them.
So many.
We won the coin toss bet.
Yeah,
that was kind of cool. The Gronk kick thing was just good advertising by FanDuel, because that was really a bunch of nothing. It was just free money to bet.
Well, he actually made that. That went in.
Did it?
Yeah. I saw a zoom in and it went in.
Oh.
And they said he missed it.
Oh, well, that's the same officials that were calling the game then, I guess.
Probably.
Kind of ridiculous, but...
Bunch of crap. Shout out to Sky Moore with a touchdown, Western Michigan boy.
Oh, yeah. And hey, like, I've loved to hate on him, and you know it on the podcast, but Aiden Hutchinson, kind of a little funny appearance there, and a real one thing that was good, and the NFL always does some sort of like flag football or, kids in the game type of ad, and if they're, with the flag football girl running and was kind of empower women in sports, that was a good commercial. It was funny, it was creative, and Aiden Hutchinson was pretty funny in that, so I got to give him a shout out for that, because I still don't like him, so.
Well, he's going to lead us to the promised land next year.
Maybe so.
Lions have the 9th best odds to win the Super Bowl.
That's crazy.
That's pretty ridiculous. Best in the NFC North.
That is nuts.
No, it's not normal. Derek Carr got released today by the Raiders. He gets to pick wherever he wants.
Which I don't know. If I'm the Raiders, like, hopefully there's some comp in there somehow, but I don't think so. Like, he wanted to control it, and they would have gotten something out of him because he's still serviceable. He's going to be able to go somewhere and help a team that is just shy of a quarterback, Tampa, because he has the experience, So, I don't know. Like that. Interesting.
Rodgers is in his darkness retreat. He's a freaking weirdo.
At least he's a conservative.
Doing his heroin or whatever the hell he does.
Shrooms, probably.
No, it's some other... I can't remember what it is.
He doesn't do heroin. He'd get kicked out of the NFL for that.
Oh,
He's not Lawrence Thomas.
You mean Lawrence Taylor?
Lawrence Taylor, yeah.
Lawrence Thomas played for Michigan State.
He did, but there was also... Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Thomas Taylor. It's all the same to me.
You got anything else NFL-wise?
Nope. So let's just jump into the third spot, which is back into March Madness. You know me, at this time of the year, I like to especially look at the Ken Palm.
You want to do an ad real quick?
No, we can do that after this.
Okay.
Fun. I covered it last week. If you're a top 40 offense, top 22 defense, that's what it takes to win the national title. And then if you really boil it down, like top 12 in week 6 of the AP poll, top 11 in the preseason AP poll, that really limits your team. So I like to look at that top 40, top 22 week over week. And we had a little bit of movement in there, and I think, these are generally the types of teams that you have a pretty good efficient O and you have a really good defense, and that's what wins games. Still in there from last week, Houston, UCLA, Bama, UConn, Kansas, Creighton, new to the mix, St. Mary's in Virginia. Like, what do you think legit the chances are St. Mary's of winning? Probably not, but interesting. They fall into that category.
Coach looks like a plumber.
Just on the outside, I'd have to look at it to tell you exactly why, but Purdue, Tennessee, Texas, San Diego State.
There's a lot of teams.
Illinois, Kansas State, and Maryland. Like, Illinois and Maryland are just on the outside of on the cusp there. I think both of them have better offenses than defenses. I'd have to go look at the Ken Pom, but Ken Pom really liked Ohio State going into last week because of their offensive efficiency. Michigan State held them to 41.
Michigan State's we
and
talked
went from
about
42 to 30.
We did not touch on that. Michigan State's defense is phenomenal.
Yeah, it is really good.
Without any rim protection, it's really good. Good development. That's a good thing to have because
I mean they kind of do when Marty's in there because he can block shots, but he doesn't block shots like Michigan State guys that block shots. But yeah, like let's look at the Big Ten and the Ken Pom. Purdue's number 4. They're 7 on O, 23 on D, so that's why they're just outside. So they're, for all intents and purposes, they're right there. Indiana is 19. They're 18 O, 37 D, so they're not too far away. Illinois 49 O, 17 D, so their defense is inside the mix. They're ranked number 20. Then you have Maryland is 25. They're 42 O, 27 D, so they're pretty close. And you have Michigan State at 30th, 76th offense, 16th defense efficiency. So those are and then you got Iowa at 34, and Northwestern at 47. So and Ohio State's still just outside the top 50 at 51. So Big Ten is getting a lot of love in the metrics. Of course, metrics don't win games, although those Ken Pom stats haven't lied for the last 20 years or so. So we'll
see.
We shall see about that.
Who you guys are 1 seeds this week?
Do you remember what I had last week, or you keep your track?
Purdue, Houston, Bama, UCLA. That's who I have this week.
I'm going to stick with that. I just UConn. UConn falls into the category of they have the offense and the defense to do it, but who did I? Purdue, Bama, Houston, UCLA. I mean, Kansas definitely could fly in there a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
I still think Creighton is probably my sleeper team right now. If I had to say it, all depends on Selection Sunday too. But it's going to be hard. You're going to be hard pressed to find a champion that's a clear cut leader, I think.
Well, same as last week you got, or
I'm sticking with the same. I still think UCLA is the class of the Pac-12. I mean, Arizona's pretty good, but
they played terrible over the weekend. They lost to Stanford, I think, who's not very good.
And UCLA has been their experience too. So
right. Who you got for your Big Ten seed this week? Ohio State probably out. Obviously, they're
let me look at the standings for the Big Ten. I think Ohio State is an out for sure.
Michigan State, what do you got them as this week?
Michigan State, I think they're on the rise. I'd probably put them in that 7-8 category.
Yeah, you had them as an 8 last week, as did I. I have them as a 7 this week as well. I think they're trending up. I think they could. They finish the season well, they could get as high as a 6. I think that would be ideal for them, so they can avoid, a Texas, a Kansas in the second round if they were to get there. Purdue both had them as a 1.
I think Maryland's in that 7-8 range.
Yeah,
I think Iowa's. I think a lot of teams that are in that range. I think Iowa's also in the 7-8 range. I think Northwestern's probably like in the 6 range right now, honestly.
I have Iowa as an 8, I think.
But I don't think Northwestern would get that kind of respect.
I have Northwestern as a 9.
I think they're good, 6 good, but I think they're more like a 9 seed on Selection Sunday.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Illinois, I think, is a team that could rise up and keep rising up. Obviously, Ken Pom.
I got them as a 5.
Depends on. They're still down 12 in this game with 14 minutes to go, so I could see them being a 5. Yeah. Rutgers, I think they could range anywhere from a 7 to a 10. I think.
I have them as
I think Indiana could sneak up as maybe even as high as a 3 seed. To be honest, it depends on how they finish out the season. But I They have a really nice team.
I have them as a 4.
Purdue's going to be a 1 or a 2. I don't see them slipping beyond a 2. And honestly, I don't really see them losing again in the Big Ten. So
You think Wisconsin's going to get in?
no, I don't think Wisconsin gets in. I don't think Ohio State gets in at this point in time.
What about Penn State?
I'm going to go no right now. Wisconsin probably has a better chance, honestly, than Penn State. I'd put Wisconsin as maybe like second 4 out.
Yeah, I had them as first 4 out.
I think Penn State has an outside chance, but they're going to have to clinch this game, and then they're going to have to make a big run.
What about Michigan?
No.
I don't think so either. I think that was their kiss.
No, unless they get it off the name on the front of their jersey. I don't
Their
care.
record-
They could have a winning record in the Big Ten. They haven't beaten any good teams. They just haven't beaten any good teams.
They have chances for pretty quality wins. They have tough teams down the stretch. I don't think they're going to do it. That's just me.
I think they're going to have to go on a major run. I think at 8
They might
and
have to
6
win the
right
Big
now.
Ten
I think
tournament.
they have to win. Boy, they're going to have to win probably 4 or 5 out of their last 6, and they're going to have to win a couple games in the Big Ten tournament, in my opinion.
Yeah, let's hope they stay out.
All right, we'll go to ad.
Yeah.
Quick word from our presenting sponsor, Team Anders. Thank you for the renewal, Jim and Donna. Appreciate you. Team Anders Realty will help you find the home that best fits your needs and makes the process simple and fun along the way. The Anders have served thousands of clients over 30 plus years in the Grand Rapids, Michigan area and are here to serve you today. Learn more at teamanders.com. All right, I was toying with a Canadian Mount Rushmore again, but I couldn't. I was going to do like Super Bowl commercials. We kind of talked about that, so we're going to go to an actual Mount Rushmore. Last week, newsflash, LeBron, I think maybe it was even when we did the pod, had clinched the
They booed him at the
scoring,
Super Bowl.
whatever. You know how I feel about him, but in honor of the fact that I absolutely put his horse's ass on the Canadian Mount Rushmore, let's go, and the NBA All-Star Game I think is this weekend. Let's go the Mount Rushmore of all-time NBA greats.
Jordan, Kareem, Bill Russell, and well, that spot's tough. Let me think about it. You give yours.
I'm going Jordan. He's the GOAT all-time, even if, Pistons fan or not. Kareem, best center in the game. I mean, there have been some good ones. Olajuwon, Shaq, whatever. But Kareem, he was a game changer. Magic and Bird. Magic and Bird put the NBA on the map. Coming off that 79 national championship game, Michigan State, Indiana State. They saved the NBA. And they each played for dynasties in the 80s. Obviously, Magic's career cut a little bit short because of the HIV, and Bird's career cut a bit short because of his back. But I dare you, if you don't know them and you're young, go watch their highlights and tell me 2 players that are better than them, minus MJ and Kareem.
My last one, I'll put Magic. Could put Bird, Chamberlain.
Yeah, I mean,
Kobe.
there's a lot of good players. There's a reason why there's a 50 all-time greats. I'm telling you right now, I could think of at least 10 guys that I would put before LeBron, and not even for his personality BS, just because I think there's 10 players that are better than LeBron James. That's my take.
Hot take, but it might be true.
All right, 5th spot. We hit the West Michigan Golf Show. As usual, I drained a couple putts in the putting contest to get into the finals, and I just missed the chance to win $500. It's kind of but I like something about half-court shots and hole-in-one contests and whatever. I didn't do that well in the hole-in-one contest this year, but that's always a good time. If you're in GR, go Friday night. There's nobody there, and you can just skirt your way through pretty quickly. No long lines for anything or whatever. It's $12. It's kind of like whatever. I guess it's like going to a movie. But
It goes to Folds of Honor.
yeah, it goes. It does. It goes to Folds of Honor. So it's a good donation to charity. And if you're in the market for gear, I personally I wouldn't buy clubs at something like
They
that.
got bags.
But they got all kinds of stuff: balls, bags, hats, whatever.
clothes, whatever.
Cool golf cart if you want to buy like a $14,000 souped up golf cart or whatever. But that gets you a little bit in the mood. My golf trip is just a little over a month away to Orlando. Looking forward to that with Chris and Daub. Last weekend, so one thing I wanted to point out, John Rahm, right there in the mix again. His worst finish since September is 8th place. He's not number one in the world. Scotty is again after winning, which, by the way, I picked last week.
Yes, you did.
But winning is hard, and I know people are like, "Oh, Rom, he kind of blew it, or he kind of choked, or he kind of faded on Sunday." The dude has not finished worse than 8th since September.
Man.
That's like Tiger good. I'm not saying he's Tiger Woods, but that's remarkable.
He's been pretty money.
And the Phoenix, they just know how to do it. Like, it was kind of disappointing, probably because of the Super Bowl or whatever. The crowds were a little down on Sunday. I don't think there were any real memorable hole-in-ones. It was kind of the wins of
Ricky
Augusta
had
and stuff.
won
But not on 16.
None on 16.
But yeah, Ricky's been playing better, so that was fun to see. Won there a couple years ago. Scotty defended his title. He really did it in runaway fashion.
JT had a nice, quiet showing.
Spieth kind of was up there and finished top 5-ish. That's just a fun one to watch. It's a really well done tournament. It's a tournament for the fans, but yet they don't get like live wild and crazy. So it's like that great mix of a little bit of rowdy but under control. Had a great streaker moment. The guy had the juke of epic jukes on the 16th green and then ends up on the WM in the middle of the pond on the 17th.
Legend.
It's crazy. 19th hole, whatever. Fortunately, he had pants on of some nature.
Yeah,
probably that Gino that we borrowed it from us from the Beckmans.
Yeah.
But yeah, great tournament. This tournament this weekend should also be great.
Yeah, looking forward to the
Tigers tournament.
Tigers playing makes it even better.
Yeah, you hope he can make the cut.
Well, he says he wouldn't play if he didn't think he'd win, so
that's a very Tiger thing to say.
I like to hear that, even if he's older and obviously injuries, unfortunate events for him.
How did we do picks wise?
You got mine 7th, mine 16th, so we both had a pretty good week.
Picked my first winner of the season, I think, right?
Yep.
Scheffler and M I had.
And then this week, Genesis. I've got 2 guys. Morikawa, he played well there last year. Great iron player, fits his eye. The Riv does it. The Riv is if you haven't ever watched it, please watch it. Beautiful golf course. It's fun. It's a great event. I mean, it's one of these elevated events, so there's a lot of great players playing in it. And I got Nick Taylor, finished 2nd. He's playing well. He's doing well, and he likes these West Coast courses.
I'm going to go with a couple of guys that have won this tournament in the past. One as recently as last year. I'm going to go with Max Homa and Adam Scott. Adam Scott's a little bit more than outsider at plus 5,500. But
yeah, I heard that he's kind of darling.
Yeah, he plays really well there. He might be worth putting a nickel on because he's plus 5,500. So that was my mistake. Is I usually bet every week on the guys that I pick, and I didn't bet on Scotty last week and should have because wins in golf are not that easy to pick. But so be it. So be it. But the good news here is in Michigan it's 55, 56 today. It's kind of spotty, that up and down, but some flags in here at Boulder Creek. So it's windy as all get out. It's like 45-mile-an-hour gusts. I don't know that I'd get out and play quite yet, but it's at least a positive forward sign to see the flags in the hole and not much snow around except for in shady areas. So
it's really good to see.
We're on the up and up.
Yeah, really, really good to see. I love it. You got anything else golf-wise? I don't think I have anything.
Nope.
All right, brings us to the sprint. We kind of talked about it, but what was your just favorite? You got to pick one. Just Super Bowl ad.
Favorite Super Bowl ad? Probably the Caddyshack one. I thought it was a great redo. My team at work likes to spoof movies, and I thought they spoofed it perfectly.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That was really funny. And just good. Made you want to Mick Ultra. Worst Super Bowl ad.
Oh man, that's hard because that means I don't remember it anyway. There were a lot of bad ones. I'm gonna go with the M&M's one.
Yeah, I'll go different.
Hot dog shit.
Terrible.
That was crap.
The one that was terrible was at the beginning, that T-Mobile one with Bradley Cooper.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
Was
People were calling
dumb.
Women were calling that cute.
Because
Bradley Cooper's cute. That was
because his
awful.
mom was in it.
That was
horrible. It didn't even make any sense.
It's terrible.
Yeah, that was
terrible.
That was a waste.
Terrible.
Who's your early, way too early, 2023-2024 NFL favorite for next season?
Oh man, I mean, look, the Chiefs are proving out to be a dynasty. They're young. Mahomes is electric. He re-sprained his ankle in the first half and just had an amazing second half. They reloaded this year when people thought, oh, they lost too many weapons. They just find a way within that offense to get things done.
Andy Reid's a hell of a coach.
And by the way, people are giving Terry Bradshaw shit because of fat shaming him, asking him about a cheeseburger. Give me a break. This is what I'm talking about, people. Like, stop being woke like that. He buys into it, and it's funny, and he talks about cheeseburgers, and he likes cheeseburgers. So kudos to you, Terry Bradshaw. So I think it's hard to pick against the Chiefs. I mean, how do you got to consider the Bengals. You got to consider the Bills on the AFC side. Maybe the Chargers are on the up and up. On the NFC side, I mean, it's unless the Eagles have some gutting of some sort. Now, losing coordinators is not the greatest, but they've got some really good young talent. They're good on both sides of the ball. They're going to be really good. And then, I don't know. The rest is kind of remains to be seen. Do some of the teams that flashed up, are they good again? Lions, Giants, etc. Speaking of Eagles coach, this is a little off topic, but meant to mention in the open, the tears during the national anthem. That is what this country needs. That was cool.
That was cool. Pretty awesome. Why do I always Sirianni? Yeah, the pizza delivery guy. All right. We always got to do some sort of pop culture or food. What's your favorite fruit?
Favorite fruit?
Yeah.
Wow, that's random. That's a good question. I'm gonna have to go a toss up between watermelon and pineapple.
Okay, I like it. I gotta go with grapes. Always have liked those. All right, that's it. That's 111. We appreciate all the support and from our followers, those that have been listening for a long time. Chris, Riley, Kyle, who am I missing? Munna, JG, Coach G. We appreciate you guys and your support. Keep passing it along. We'd love to grow it. I'm trying to possibly come up with a little sponsorship thing here with some other people to get some prizes maybe for a March Madness pool that we'll do. But we appreciate you guys listening. Let us know what you want to hear. Want to hear
mailbag,
Rushmore, mailbag, any basketball topics, football, cricket, soccer, whatever you want to hear, we'll do it. But yeah, thanks guys. Couldn't do this without you. And keep thinking about those people in East Lansing and their families, please. Thank you.
And another shout out to Team Anders for their sponsorship renewal and for their partnership from day one. Great neighbors, great friends, great realtors. TeamAnders.com. Meantime, some people want it to happen, some wish it would happen, others make it happen. And a little homage to MJ, Michael Jordan, our unanimous choice for Mount Rushmore.